Another day, another story. The Nazca Lines are a collection of giant geoglyphs, designs or motifs etched into the ground, located in the Peruvian coastal plain about 250 miles, 400 kilometers, south of Lima, Peru. Created by the ancient Nazca culture in South America, and depicting various plants, animals, and shapes, the 2,000-year-old Nazca Lines can only be fully appreciated when viewed from the air given their massive size. Despite being studied for over 80 years, the geoglyphs, which were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994, are still a mystery to researchers. Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. The Nazca Lines are a series of ancient geoglyphs, large designs or motifs created on the ground, located in the Nazca Desert of southern Peru. These mysterious lines were created by removing the reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles that cover the surface of the Nazca Desert and revealing the light-colored earth underneath. The Nazca Lines were created by the Nazca people, who lived in the region from around 200 BCE to 600 CE. The geoglyphs are composed of various designs, including animals, plants, and geometric shapes. Some of the most famous figures include a monkey, a spider, a hummingbird, and a condor. The largest figures can span up to 1,200 feet, 370 meters in length. The purpose of the Nazca Lines remains a subject of scholarly debate. Some theories suggest that they served as astronomical observatories, while others propose that they were part of religious rituals or used for agricultural purposes. One popular theory suggests that the lines are connected to water, with some geoglyphs possibly representing underground water sources. Due to their remote location and the difficulty of discerning the images from ground level, the Nazca Lines remained relatively unknown until the advent of flight. In the 1920s, when aircraft began to fly over the region, the large-scale designs were first noticed. The mystery surrounding the Nazca Lines has captured the fascination of archaeologists, historians, and the general public, and they have been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Nazca Lines have intrigued researchers and archaeologists for decades, and while many aspects of their purpose remain uncertain, there are several interesting aspects to their discovery and study. Discovery. As mentioned earlier, the Nazca Lines were largely unknown until the advent of modern aviation. In the 1920s, when commercial flights began to operate over the Nazca Desert, passengers and pilots started noticing the large-scale geoglyphs. The discovery of these massive figures prompted further exploration and study. Creation techniques. Creating such large and intricate designs on the desert floor without the aid of modern technology is a remarkable feat. The Nazca people likely used simple tools and surveying techniques, potentially with the help of long ropes and wooden stakes to create the straight lines. The precision and scale of the designs suggest a high level of planning and organization. Preservation. One reason the Nazca Lines have endured for so many centuries is the arid climate of the Nazca Desert. The region receives very little rainfall, and the lines are etched into the surface of the desert, which slows down the process of erosion. The dry conditions have helped preserve these ancient geoglyphs. Cultural and spiritual significance. The purpose of the Nazca Lines remains speculative, but many researchers believe they held cultural or spiritual significance for the Nazca people. Some theories propose that they were used for ceremonial or religious purposes, possibly related to agriculture or water rituals. Others suggest that the lines have astronomical alignments, serving as an ancient observatory. Conservation challenges. Despite their remote location, the Nazca Lines face some preservation challenges. Human activities, such as tourism and land development, pose a threat to these fragile geoglyphs. The increasing number of visitors walking on or near the lines can cause damage. Efforts to balance tourism with conservation are ongoing, and measures are taken to limit access to certain areas. The Nazca Lines continue to be a subject of research, with ongoing studies using advanced technologies like satellite imaging and 3D modeling to better understand their purpose and cultural context. The mystery surrounding these ancient geoglyphs adds to their allure and makes them a captivating subject for both scientists and the general public alike. What are the Nazca Lines? There are three basic types of Nazca Lines: straight lines, geometric designs and pictorial representations. There are more than 800 straight lines on the coastal plain, some of which are 30 miles, 48 kilometers, long. Additionally, there are over 300 geometric designs, which include basic shapes such as triangles, rectangles, and trapezoids, as well as spirals, arrows, zigzags and wavy lines. The Nazca Lines are perhaps best known for the representations of about 70 animals and plants, some of which measure up to 1,200 feet, 370 meters, long. Examples include a spider, hummingbird, cactus plant, monkey, whale, llama, duck, flower, tree, lizard and dog. The Nazca people also created other forms, such as a humanoid figure, nicknamed the astronaut, hands and some unidentifiable depictions. In 2011, a Japanese team discovered a new geoglyph that appears to represent a scene of decapitation, which, at about 4.2 meters long and 3.1 meters wide, is far smaller than other Nazca figures and not easily seen from aerial surveys. The Nazca people were known to collect trophy heads, and research in 2009 revealed that the majority of trophy skulls came from the same populations as the people they were buried with, rather than outside cultures. In 2016, the same team found another geoglyph, this time one that depicts a 98-foot-long, 30-meter-long, mythical creature that has many legs and spotted markings, and is sticking out its tongue. And in 2018, Peruvian archaeologists announced they had discovered more than 50 new geoglyphs in the region, using drone technology to map the landmarks in unprecedented detail. How the Nazca Lines were created. Anthropologists believe the Nazca culture, which began around 100 BC and flourished from AD 1 to 700, created the majority of the Nazca Lines. The Chavin and Paracas cultures, which predate the Nazca, may have also created some of the geoglyphs. The Nazca Lines are located in the desert plains of the Rio Grande do Nazca River Basin, an archaeological site that spans more than 75,000 hectares and is one of the driest places on Earth. The desert floor is covered in a layer of iron oxide-coated pebbles of a deep rust color. The ancient peoples created their designs by removing the top 12 to 15 inches of rock, revealing the lighter-colored sand below. They likely began with small-scale models and carefully increased the models' proportions to create the large designs. Most of the known geoglyphs were formed by removing rocks from only the border of the figures, creating a kind of outline, while others were formed by removing rocks from the interior. Given the low amount of rain, wind and erosion in the desert, the geoglyphs have remained largely unscathed throughout the centuries. Nazca Lines and aliens. Toribio Megiozes, a Peruvian archaeologist, began a systematic study of the lines in 1926, but the geoglyphs only gained widespread attention when pilots flew over them in the 1930s. Experts have debated the purpose of the Nazca Lines since then. In the late 1930s and early 1940s, American historian Paul Kosick studied the geoglyphs from the ground and air. Based on the relative position of one of the lines he studied to the sun around the winter solstice, he concluded that the geoglyphs had an astronomy-related purpose. Soon after, Maria Reich, a German archaeologist and translator, also concluded that the designs had an astronomical and calendrical purpose. She further believed that some of the animal geoglyphs were representative of groups of stars in the sky. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, however, other researchers, including American astronomer Gerald Hawkins, examined the Nazca Lines and disagreed with the astronomical explanation for the geoglyphs. They also poked holes in other far-out explanations, such as those relating to aliens or ancient astronauts. Purpose of the Nazca Lines. More recent research suggested that the Nazca Lines' purpose was related to water, a valuable commodity in the arid lands of the Peruvian coastal plain. The geoglyphs weren't used as an irrigation system or a guide to find water, but rather as part of a ritual to the gods, an effort to bring much-needed rain. Some scholars point to their animal depictions, some of which are symbols for rain, water or fertility, and have been found at other ancient Peruvian sites and on pottery, as evidence of this theory. In 2015, Researchers presenting at the 80th annual meeting of the Society for American Archaeology argued that the purpose of the Nazca Lines changed over time. Initially, pilgrims heading to Peruvian temple complexes used the geoglyphs as ritual processional routes. Later groups, as part of a religious rite, smashed ceramic pots on the ground at the point of intersection between lines. Conservation issues. Unlike other relics throughout the world, the Nazca Lines are largely spared from unintentional destruction, thanks to their location. But the geoglyphs aren't completely safe. In 2009, the Nazca Lines suffered the first recorded instance of rain damage. Heavy downpours flowing off the Pan-American Highway, a network of roads that connects nearly all countries in the Americas with the Pacific coast, deposited sand and clay onto 3 fingers of the hand-shaped geoglyph. 5 years later, environmental group Greenpeace damaged an area near the hummingbird geoglyph during a media stunt. The activists disturbed the upper layer of rocks by the hummingbird when they trampled through the forbidden area of the desert to lay down a large sign that promotes renewable energy. And in 2018, a commercial truck driver was arrested after he drove onto a portion of the Nazca Lines, etching deep scars into an area roughly 100 feet by 330 feet, about 50 meters by 100 meters. The damage caused by the truck driver renewed calls for greater security and surveillance at the sites. Symbolism and imagery. The variety of figures etched into the desert floor is astonishing. Beyond the famous animal figures, there are intricate geometric shapes, including spirals, trapezoids, and straight lines crisscrossing the landscape. Some researchers believe that the symbols may have held symbolic or religious meanings for the Nazca people, possibly representing constellations, agricultural fertility, or mythical creatures. Mysterious Nazca culture. The people who created the Nazca Lines belonged to the Nazca culture, a pre-Inca civilization that inhabited the region. The Nazca culture is known for its advanced pottery, textiles, and irrigation systems. While much is known about their material culture, their societal organization and the specific purposes of the Nazca Lines remain enigmatic. The spider geoglyph. Among the most intriguing figures is the so-called spider. This geoglyph spans over 150 feet, 46 meters, and features a long, straight line intersected by shorter lines, creating a spider-like shape. Some theories suggest that this figure might be associated with water, as spiders were considered symbols of fertility in Nazca cosmology. Ancient astronauts hypothesis. The Nazca Lines have attracted attention from proponents of the ancient astronauts hypothesis, popularized by Swiss author Erich von Däniken. Some enthusiasts have suggested that the lines were created with the assistance of extraterrestrial beings or served as landing strips for their spacecraft. However, this idea is not supported by mainstream archaeology, and the line's origins are widely attributed to human ingenuity. Challenges of preservation. Preservation efforts for the Nazca Lines are ongoing due to their vulnerability to environmental factors and human activity. In addition to the potential impact of tourism, climate change and natural phenomena such as earthquakes pose threats to the preservation of these ancient geoglyphs. Conservationists and archaeologists work to monitor and mitigate these risks. Pampa Colorada. The Nazca Lines are just one part of a larger archaeological landscape known as Pampa Colorada. In this area, researchers have discovered additional geoglyphs, as well as ancient settlements, burial sites, and ceremonial centers. The broader context of the Nazca culture and its relationship to the creation of the lines adds complexity to the understanding of this ancient civilization. The Nazca Lines continue to be a subject of active research, and new discoveries and insights may emerge as technology and archaeological methods advance. Despite the challenges they face, these mysterious geoglyphs remain a captivating and iconic archaeological site, contributing to our understanding of ancient cultures in the Andean region.